This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 570 for September 24th, 2018. Do a quick slurp.
Get your straws out.
Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me, as always, is Vampyr.
Suitable English intro here. I couldn't think of one. It was like literally, I've been, hello governor, cup of tea, etc.,
Right.
funny accents, and then everything just went out of my head completely.
I like it. I appreciate it. I don't really have any news here at the beginning, so let's just get started on... Well, no, that's wrong. Coming this Friday...
There we go.
Brand new episode of Old Dog New Flicks. I almost forgot. But you'll want to check this one out if you're a patron. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers at the $5 or more tier. Vampyr and Jess have a hard time with a beloved classic movie for a lot of good reasons. And I think if you want to get a really great conversation at the beginning about... what makes good comedy movies good and what comedies Jess and Moon do and don't like. And then you get the back half where it is disappointment. Go check it out. I won't spoil what it is in case you're not a patron, but patreon.com/E1M1, $5 and more. You'll get that, and then a couple days later you'll get the new episode of Dynamic Soundtrack. So,
Not to mention all of the
punch.
ODNF that has come out but not been released yet. So past 2 episodes.
That's right.
As well.
Yeah, that's true. So let's dive into what you've been playing this past week, Vampyr.
Okay, so in my quest to continue removing games from my Xbox because of space constraints,
Yes.
I thought, hey, why not let's have the return of the NeoGeo and get rid of some of those games, because with their 197 megabytes game install size, they take up so much space.
Yeah. It's not like, as we were talking about, deleting Destiny 2 off your hard drive, which is, I believe, now 80 gigs.
Yes.
Yeah.
That and Master Chief Collection are looking like they might be going soon, but I should probably dive in and play some Master Chief Collection before I do that. But yeah, I played ACA NeoGeo World Heroes 2. Which is the sequel to the previous World Heroes games, which I did get my full retail 1K on, and it's a fighting game, so that's literally all I really have to say about it, because I am not a fighting game person. It's interesting, if not slightly racist.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like interesting, if not slightly racist, is kind of 90s fighting games in general. Where it's like, this is pretty good, but I feel like the Native Americans would have problems with this character.
I feel like dressing somebody up as basically what looks like the stereotypical Australian Aboriginal look and calling them Mudman is a bit of a problem.
Yeah. Sort of stuff that wouldn't fly nowadays.
Yes. I mean, certain people, like in modern fighting games, are pushing their limits a little bit. Zack from Dead or Alive has always been a prime example of, are you leaning into that stereotype a little too much?
Right, are you having fun with it, or are you poking fun? Like, I can't tell.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's something that I experienced when playing when I did the glut of Neo Geo games. It's really interesting to see the evolution of fighting games. I really do need to pick up Fighters in time for Game of the Year this year and give that a whirl and see just how far they've evolved. And it will also be like my very first ever, whatever that developer's name is.
Arc System Works?
There you go. Game.
That's probably a pretty good intro, because I think it's the least crazy of their games.
Yeah, despite the fact that it's based on Dragon Ball and it's the least crazy.
I think that says something.
That tells you all about Arc System Works, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see, what else? Bomber Crew. I still love this game. This is on Game Pass. It is the chibi bomber management kind of
Yeah, I downloaded this. It was the first thing I downloaded when I got Game Pass.
Yeah, I'm just using it, like, again, I reference this probably every week, but I have different games that I use as my wind down games.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a really good example of a wind down game where I never feel too stressed or too pressured while I'm playing it. And in general, it's just a very nice, slow plate simming simulator where I can just get the guys to do the thing, drop the bomb on the thing, and then fly off to my next objective and upgrade my plane some more. I'm still on Cookie Wookie, so Cookie Wookie is going strong.
Nice.
My team every single one of my team has survived every mission so far.
Ooh.
And it does something which I really kind of appreciate, which is it has a campaign to go through.
Oh, nice.
It looks like you can just keep playing basically like side missions if you feel like you're not ready for the next campaign mission.
Mm-hmm.
So I always appreciate games that are like, this is the next story progression moment, but if you don't feel like you're powerful enough, go do some of these side missions to get some more money, to get some upgrades before you jump onto this.
Cool.
To this next thing, considering that if your plane goes down, you have a chance to lose your entire crew.
Oh no.
I feel like that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Problem is, I always go in over-leveled, or in this case, over-equipped, / over-adjusted for inflation kind of thing.
It's like the JRPG problem where it's like, it's so cool, this town has 10 side quests for me, and then you fight another boss the next time, and you're like 30 levels above it, and it's like, oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe don't do every single side quest, but
yeah.
It has roguelike elements, so I have to be prepared for it.
Right.
It's that simple. But yeah, Bomber Crew, again, it's if you have Game Pass, download it, give it a whirl. I'm actually very curious to see what you think of it, considering it's a very short missions, something that hopefully you might be able to get squeezed in the fatherly duties of the day. But it's fun, it's cute, it's charming, and it has a really interesting... I only noticed this yesterday. It has a really interesting rip-off of the Star Wars theme when you're coming in for a successful landing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like one of those 2 notes changed so you can't get sued.
Right.
But just similar enough to it's like, is this the Star Wars?
Right, like, have I heard this before?
Almost like it was produced by WCW. That's a reference that no one will get except for me and the wrestling fans out there.
Yeah. I did look at... I forgot it's also out on PS4 and Switch.
Yep. The Switch might be interesting for that, you know.
It'd be a good platform, yeah.
If it has the touchscreen as well, that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Ooh. My other game, there was... You may have seen me tweeting about this. There was a double XP Dead by Daylight weekend. I believe it's still going on right now. So basically you get double blood points, which is the XP for everything that you do. Yeah, that game is still really great. Like, really great to the point where now I'm looking at my survivor and thinking, I'm going to level this guy up, because the guy I choose to play is the guy who likes to play the hard games, wants to play the game with the guy who you can choose to start the round injured with and put yourself at a permanent disadvantage, because why not?
What a shock.
But there is perks that you can acquire throughout the game that make that so much better. Like, everything you do is faster, because when you're injured, you move faster, you heal faster, you repair faster, all of that kind of stuff. So it's like,
so it seems like you're starting with a disadvantage, but you can balance yourself towards taking advantage of that.
Yep. So what it ends up being is if the killer hits you once, you're in trouble. However, if you can avoid the killer and if you've got that going for you, you can make your progress so much faster by being able to build in this specific direction.
Nice.
And so many people have shared this idea with me that this specific character, I think it's David King, which, for the record, he's from Manchester, England, which I don't like. He has an outfit called Mancunian Fighting Outfit, which I don't like. For those who don't know, people from Liverpool and people from Manchester have a friendly rivalry, we shall say.
Right. Not one of those fighting in the streets rivalries.
Not anymore. That was the 80s.
Okay.
And he's like, he starts off like when I started playing as him, I saw this future, this build in the future. So many people have seen that. The developers have changed him from a hard survivor to play to an intermediate survivor to play.
Oh, wow.
Because people are doing this thing where they are building him based on specific perks that he has that allow him to perform better.
So opposite Moonpear is pretty popular?
Yes, pretty much exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that game is so cool. And they just released a new killer and a new survivor, and they seem to patch that thing every 2 weeks, which... good on them for that, first and foremost. But the new killer is kind of creepy because she looks like the woman from The Ring.
Oh, no. No thanks.
She moves in that fashion.
Oh, like that jerky movement?
The snappy, jerky arm movements.
I don't like it.
She has a phase shift ability where she basically stands still and just does this.
Oh, like that creepy
time. Yes, the
marionette.
creepy movement thing. The whole time, what she's actually doing is teleporting to a different location that you can control while you're here.
Oh, wow.
It's real creepy. And then my favorite thing, she's covered in broken glass, just like Return of the Living Dead, I believe it was.
Okay.
Maybe the third one. There is glass shards sticking out of her in various parts. And her weapon is a sword made of psychic glass that she forms when she swings at you.
Oh, wow.
God, I know you hate horror games, Boston. I know you do. You need to play Dead by Daylight.
I was just thinking, that has to be such a cool company to work for, because they're just coming up with such interesting killers. Every time they come out with one, it's like, oh, okay, it's the lady from The Ring. And it's like, oh, okay. Everything about her is actually really cool.
Yes. I don't even... they got 3 licensed killers in there now. I like the 3 licenses that they've got.
Who are the ones they have?
They have Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They have Michael from the Halloween series. I still love every time you go on his map, and they have 4 licensed killers. I still love the fact that when you go on Michael's map, it does the piano thing at the start. And anytime he's chasing you as well, by the way, you get that music. That's his chase music, is the pianos.
Oh, man.
They have the lady from the latter Saw movies wearing the pig mask.
Oh, okay.
And they have Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, nice. So some pretty big licenses.
Yeah, the only one they're missing is the one that has its own game.
Yeah.
Which, depending on how that goes, that might change.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be like a Pinball FX sort of thing, where it's like, hey, by the way, they're in here now.
I don't think they could do the presentation as well as the Friday the 13th game does it.
No,
that nails it so well. But no, their original killers are genuinely great, and they have bios with backstories for how each individual killer became their actual individual killer.
Oh, nice.
The backstory of how they became this monster kind of person.
That's
Hello,
really
Mr.
great.
Spider crawling all over my wall. You are very large.
Please don't eat me.
He's very large.
Yeah.
No, good. Okay, no, you need to go find a corner and
go up.
Away. Yes. Yeah, but it's got dailies, it's got all the things that keep you looped back in, it's got progression, it's got the prestige mode, it's got... You can go in this blind and you will suffer. When you learn how to play, you can succeed as any killer, as any survivor, no matter what level you are.
Mm-hmm.
The progression is just like little nudges towards your own success rate. And the new survivor they've got, like, they seem to have built him specifically to be a healing monster, because he's got... It's the great succession of perks for them. Is one of his perks, and I love it, my wife hates it, because you kind of got to be looking for people to heal. But every time when you heal somebody, you get skill checks. Every time you succeed a skill check, you get a certain percentage increase in how much you heal people and how quickly you heal them.
Oh, wow, okay.
But you start on a negative. So the first 3 times you do it, it brings you back to normal, and then after that, it's like all of a sudden you are healing. I brought someone from dead to full health in about 6 seconds which is normally about a 20-second progress.
Wow.
Using this guy's heal stuff, it's like, okay, this is great. This guy, he has his role as a survivor is to do that. And all of the survivors have very similar things where they are so unique, just like the killers are, where they are each strong in their own special ways.
Right.
The nerdy guy who's a leader who inspires everybody else to do better when there's more people around him. Like the risk reward of that, of having everybody close compared to the killer finding everybody all at once.
Right.
They're so well done, and they, for every single licensed killer they bring in a licensed survivor as well.
Oh, okay.
So each killer has their own licensees to hunt as well. So you've got the lady who Michael is obsessed with. You've got the boy from the Friday the 13th movies. Detective Tapp from the Saw movies is the survivor in this.
Oh, okay.
Everyone has their own one, and Dead by Daylight's really good. Like,
and it's on Game Pass right now, right?
That I don't know about.
Okay.
All I know is Dead by Daylight is fantastic. Please play it with us. It's fun when you have a group of 4, even when one of them has forgotten the controls, Justin, and doesn't know what he's doing, Justin, and has maybe had a little bit too much to drink, Justin, to be any form of usefulness to the squad. Justin.
I see for purchase it's only $30 right now, which seems pretty fair for the amount of content that's in there.
That'll probably include the base game and not a whole lot of the DLC, but you don't need the DLC to play with people who do have it. It does the thing they seem to have learnt a long time ago now. Have that in the game, so there are no connection issues.
Yeah, everybody has everything.
Yep. So, yeah, Dead by Daylight, play it. It's fun. I'm kind of on a bit of a kick with it right now, because like, let's jump back in, maximize my minutes, get the most I can out of this
dailies done.
Weekend. Yeah. And then in doing so, I realized this game is still really, really, really fun to just play.
Yeah.
So I'll probably be going back to that again and again and again.
Hey, don't be disappointed to play a lot of a good game.
Yeah, true. Destiny.
You know, like, could be worse things.
Yeah, Destiny 2.
That's fair. Hey man, game resets every 4 days now. Just pulls me right back in.
Not every 7 days, every 4 days now.
Yep. Every day, every 4 days, and every 7 days. There's different resets.
Okay. Enough.
Pulling me back in.
Enough Destiny 2. Enough Dying Light.
Yep.
So, my last game.
Okay.
We talked about it a little bit on pre-show, so if you're a patron or if you're interested, listen to the Outcasts for more in-depth detail on my dongle.
Yep.
Again, with the phrasing.
Yeah,
The wireless connective device I have that turns my Xbox controller into a PlayStation controller.
That's much more natural, yeah.
There we go. Yes.
It just flows.
It works like a charm. I went into very much intricate detail on the whole thing pre-show. I believe it's on the live stream, so you can check out that part of it.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, that's really helpful. So I just basically played a metric poop ton of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I cannot help but do every single collectible the second I unlock them.
Yep.
Because when you start the game, you have like 5 or 6 collectibles to get. Or, well, no, not 5 or 6, like 2 or 3 different kinds of collectible. These are the bases. There's 6 of them. These are the backpacks. There's 50 of them. These are the landmarks. There's 50 of them. I did all of them, and then I do the story missions, and then I do more story missions. And then, oh wait, there's the Black Cat. Here is Black Cat things. There's 20 of them. Okay, I'm going to stop doing every single story mission. And
pendulum swings the other way.
Yep, go and collect every single one of them.
Right.
It's actually worked out quite nicely for me that way, because I don't feel like I'm having to grind the second I unlock suit upgrades or new suits or new anything. I feel like I can afford them because you use those collectible tokens that you get for doing those things to upgrade the items that you get.
So you're sort of already set when you pick up the new outfit.
Yes, I am over-leveling my collectibles so I can upgrade my things.
Right.
But I don't really want to talk about the story too much.
Yeah, it's still too new.
Do you know who you're working with in this game? I'm sure you must know at this point. It's like the first 2 scenes of the game you figure out who you're working with.
No.
Okay, then I'm not going to say a thing.
Literally, the only thing I've really seen of the game is just a whole bunch of GIFs and really short videos online of just like, I'm swinging, woohoo! This looks so fun, yeah, I'm leaping off a building, wow! You know, it's like everything else is just sort of, everyone's just playing the game.
That and a whole bunch of selfies, which I'm not going to... I don't think I will ever beat my photo mode lightning strike shot.
Yeah, that was good.
Which I'm very annoyed with because I got the stupid icon in the corner, but I got the icon in the corner because I tried to figure out how to use the capture button with my Xbox controller.
Right. Did you see my tweet about...
Yes, I did. You can take that off. Does it just do the noise or something when you do it?
Yeah, it just makes that little bloop noise.
Okay, I definitely might have to do that then. I did take a couple more selfies since then. One of them is really stupid. One of them is hilarious. So I may have to post these at some point.
More selfies in more games. If the character can have a phone, they can take a selfie.
And the photo mode in that game is incredible. It's fun to play with. I like the God of War one because it allowed me to view scale. But this is modern day New York, and there's something quite interesting to me about hanging upside down on a building and taking a selfie of Central Park.
That's pretty cool.
I don't think I've seen anybody else do the upside down selfie.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So I'm kind of glad I thought of that and got that done before anybody else did. I'm sure someone else did. I'm not that original, and even I know that much.
Groundbreaker, Vampyr.
Yes. But no, Spider-Man. Let's see. So, story mode-wise, the thing that you know is going to happen within the first 5 minutes of the game is starting to happen now.
Okay.
I'm being as vague as humanly possible.
Sure.
For very specific reasons. Basically what I'm seeing is references to the future of a character in the game. It's like, well, duh. I knew you were going to go there. I know who this character is. I know what's going to happen. I've been to a fancy dress party where I was dressed as Spider-Man. Shocker.
That's really good.
But there was about 50 other Spider-Mans there. So there was also a whole bunch of vultures, and there was a really, really great rhino outfit, which was a dumb football jock dressed in essentially the animated Spider-Man series, Rhino.
Cool.
Where he just looks like he's wearing a padded muscle suit.
It's just a big dude.
Really, really dumb, but
That's good.
Really, really funny at the same time. Things have happened. I think I know who the main antagonist is now, but I'm not sure. I can't really say a whole lot because I feel like I'm at that midpoint in the story where stuff is right on the tipping point of getting real.
Yeah.
And we'll see, from what I'm seeing, the general consensus is the back end of the game just skyrockets you forwards through a whole bunch of plot points.
Oh, okay.
So I think I might be heading towards that tipping point. But the thing with Spider-Man is I cannot emphasize this enough. Spider-Man, the game, Marvel Spider-Man 2018.
Thank you. His birth name.
Yes. It makes being Spider-Man so much fun. I love God of War. God of War 2018, to give it its birth name.
It's a fine video game.
Is an incredible game. At the end of this year, for me, the decision between these two games of which is higher on my list, it will basically come down to, probably, depending on how the story on Spider-Man ends, it will come down to, did I enjoy the story of God of War more than playing Spider-Man?
Right.
Because mechanically, Spider-Man is a joy to play. It has its faults, it has its flaws. The combat, it can be face-breakingly difficult at times. But at the same time, you get to swing around like a madman and do crazy, crazy stuff. And, okay, you haven't played this yet. I'm guessing you will either play it this year or you won't. Probably. I think I referenced it 2 weeks ago. It's one specific animation which shows to me why Insomniac made the right choice in developing this game. I'm going to spoil that animation because at this point it's just an animation. You know the water towers on top of buildings?
Yep.
If you do your right trigger, left trigger, like web pull thing, which basically brings you to a specific point, if you do that while aiming in the general direction of one of those water towers, he literally reaches out, webs the two sides of the legs, not the tank, but the legs itself, like the wooden frame it's on, shoots through that gap.
Oh no.
And then accelerates out the other side.
That's too cool. I can't take it.
Every single time I do that, it brings a little buzz of adrenaline to my brain. It's like,
just like over there, like, that was great.
It's really, really cool. I will now aim for water towers to do that animation.
That's
and
cool.
Hope that I get it. Like, it's hard to put into words. Like the way this game, don't get me wrong. It's not an Arkham Asylum.
Right.
It's not for me. It's not a 10 out of 10 game. I don't think God of War is either, but. Actually, they both might be 10 out of 10, but they're not perfect games.
They both have like enough little problems or like enough stuff that never really clicked with us.
Yes, and it's one of those things with Spider-Man where it's just I'm enjoying pretty much every single moment I put into this.
Yeah.
One exception being I unlocked my latest collectible type that I unlocked probably about halfway through the game is the challenges.
Oh no.
So the challenges are just like the challenges from Arkham.
Oh no. I'm having like flashbacks to Arkham Knight where it's just like, no, I can't dive through more rings. No, please no.
I was just about to say it doesn't have any of them, but it does.
No.
It 100% does.
But it's Insomniac, so probably they're doable.
Yes. And my personal favorite thing, you do not need to get the perfect score on these challenges to platinum the game.
Yes.
You literally just
take that, Lego games.
Yes, thank you. And also the Batman Arkham Asylum game, which I'm pretty sure I got full gamer score on 3 times or 4 times. I can't remember.
God, Arkham Asylum. I felt like Arkham Asylum, and this is well tread ground, but I feel like Arkham Asylum was the only game that was fair about all of its collectibles. Like I really loved changing the camera in environments to put together the question mark. Like that was really fun. And there's like just enough Riddler trophies, not 400 of them. That's too many.
The one thing Arkham Asylum did poorly, I think, was the challenge rooms.
Yeah.
Specifically the back end of them when you've got to get like 120,000 points, which is basically be flawless on this level that has electric floors that rotate around
for like 20 minutes. Were those in the original launch of the game, or were those patched in later?
I believe they were in the original launch of the game because they are in the 1K window for me.
Gotcha.
So I had to do them 3 or 4 times to get it on.
Yikes.
Hey, Arkham Asylum is a game that if you got the English, the US, and the Game of the Year version for both, that's 4 different full 1000s that you could get on those games.
Ah, I see.
Worth it every single time because that game is incredible.
Yeah, it's still a great game.
I think Spider-Man does that exact same thing for Spider-Man. Like it turns New York into this beautiful playground where you can run around and take selfies with people and give them the good job guns. Because that's what happens when you hit punch near a civilian. He does little salutes or he gives them the good job guns.
That's great.
The fast travel is you riding the subway, and it shows cutscenes of him riding the subway with random people in New York.
I've seen some gifs of that where it's just like him in the subway in the outfit, just sitting next to a dude reading the paper.
Yep.
That's really good.
Usually he's playing around on his phone, and the paper he's reading has got Spider-Man on the cover.
That's great.
Why not?
Yeah.
This 2018. Why?
Too many good games. This was supposed to be our down year after last year.
Yeah, this is going to throw the rule of the 7 completely out the window. 1997, incredible year.
Yep.
Next best year, 2007. Next best year after that, 2017.
Yep.
18 is going to ruin that for us.
But 2027, that's going to be real good.
I don't even want to think about 2027.
we got to start saving money now.
Well, actually, I've just realized that's when Cyberpunk is going to come out. So
that's
fine.
Crap. That's
there
true.
you go.
Yeah.
The game of the year. All games are done.
Yep.
But no, Spider-Man. I cannot recommend this enough, folks. Go play it. Like just for the story so far has been good, not great. It's intriguing. It's good to play a Spider-Man where you're not playing his origin story.
Yep.
You're not dating MJ. You've already broken up. There is interesting plotline with her. I've just met another character recently who is a big character in the Spider-Man verse, which I will not talk about at all because that reveal is amazing. Like, every time I turn around, there's more and more things going on. Tombstone is in this game, which I never expected to see Tombstone in this.
Yeah.
Who is a kind of obscure Spider-Man villain. Who's genuinely fun. And he's part of a side quest. And there's side quests all over the place that introduce you to random things. Like the streamer. The side quest involving the streamer.
Mm-hmm.
Who is using you to up her views so she can become more popular.
That's great.
What they've done with J. Jonah Jameson in this game is...
I've heard some of that. I don't want to spoil it, but...
It's a touch of genius.
It's really great.
It's how do you take... It's something that they struggled with like, you talk about Batman versus Superman. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, who is Lex Luthor in 20...
Like, modern day?
Yeah. Who is he there? And in Batman vs Superman, he is an online blogger at that point.
Right.
It's like, great, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
He's probably still got all the industry and all of the business stuff in the background, but as a person, an online blogger makes perfect sense.
He's angrily writing screeds on medium.com.
Yes, exactly. He is going on Reddit. There you go.
Exactly. He has his own subreddit.
And how do you take the 21st century from these things that came out in the 80s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, they're kind of dated at this point? How do you make them modern day? What they do with JJJ is it's
perfect.
It's pure genius. Like
it's perfect.
It's so good, and it gives you the option to not listen to anything he has to say. Don't ever do that because it's hilarious.
It's gonna be too good. And
Spider-Cop is still one of the best things in the game because he keeps getting referenced.
Nice.
Spider-Cop is great. I can't say anything else. Like summing up Spider-Man for me this week. Mm-hmm. Mechanically, game is still amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Has minor issues. Story interesting. Can't say anything. Spoiler alert.
Right.
That's pretty much all I can say about Spider-Man at this point.
Yeah.
Get ready for Game of the Year discussions when I drop all of these spoiler bombs on everybody.
Yeah. I've already written the spoiler warning into the show notes for the Game of the Year.
Yeah. I think, isn't that like the second thing you do? Game of the Year 2018, spoiler warning.
Yep.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing. I had limited time this week, but I had to get my Spidey on. I
haven't really felt like playing much of anything this week, but I squeezed in a couple of some stuff. I played more Vampyr, aka 2018's Vampyr. Its proper name. So first off, in my adventures of, oh my god, my kid can't listen to this, I finished chapter 1, which we'll get back to in a minute, and I started chapter 2, and the woman you talk to, she's like a major benefactor for the hospital. And Dr. Swansea, your essentially your boss, sort of, he says, someone is trying to blackmail her. We really need her money to keep this ramshackle hospital open.
Yeah, the Pembroke is falling apart as well.
Yeah. Can you go talk to her and see if you, as someone who doesn't know anybody around here, can you go try and find out who's blackmailing her? You can sort of make it seem like you're trying to learn about the hospital and ask innocent questions, and maybe you can find out what's going on here. You go talk to her, and she says, well, you can probably talk to this wonderful old lady who is just the source of gossip in this place.
For the record, the wonderful old lady, her name is Harriet Jones, which always makes me think of Doctor Who.
Okay, yes, that's true.
Harriet Jones, Prime Minister.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll go talk to the the local gossip. One of the first few lines she says, she drops the C-bomb. And I was just like, oh boy, okay. So cannot play this game with audio anymore. But
headphones were the success story for you in this one, I think.
Yeah, headphones in my kit are sort of a problem right now, unfortunately.
Yay.
Yeah. I finished Chapter 1, which was largely good. I was a little bit disappointed by the boss fight. You fight John Doe in the morgue, which is a little too on the nose. I was a little disappointed in... I was a little disappointed in this, but it makes sense. There weren't a lot of zombies in the morgue, which seems like that shouldn't be the case, but I sort of don't want to fight more than 2 at once, so it's not like Dead Rising where, there's 40 zombies stretched out in front of you. I thought the boss fight was easy, but I get the impression it isn't.
What difficulty are you playing on?
The only difficulty there is. I didn't realize they haven't patched in the other difficulties yet.
Okay.
Because I had looked at that the other day and I was like, I didn't pick a difficulty, and the game so far seems fair.
Oh, but yes, that's right.
It's coming out on Tuesday.
Really?
Yeah, which I was it was sort of funny because I was looking at it and then Don't Nod posted about it on Twitter as I was looking at Twitter before I was going to go Google it. I was like, oh, okay, well that's why I'm not seeing other sort of difficulties.
That's good timing.
Yeah. I feel like the thing that's really benefiting me in the game is I'm never going to sleep. So the game is not progressing at all.
Yep, that is something that my wife pointed out was a mistake that she made when she played the game, was she was struggling with the difficulty, so she did a little bitey bite on a couple of people, then would go to sleep to level up, and then the areas would immediately degrade, so they would get harder.
Right.
And then she'd have to do a bitey bite to level up some more, but then to level up you go to sleep, and then the areas would degrade some more and get harder again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm both not sleeping and not biting anybody. I've only bit that one dude. The thing, it's really tough though, because always on the upper right hand side of the screen in sort of dark gray font is go to sleep to evolve. And it's no, I can't. I'm going to go to sleep when you make me go to sleep. It's like my kid. I'm not going to go to sleep until you make me go to sleep, and that'll be a better vampire.
Yes.
That's not my kid, by the way.
It is definitely worth playing it a little bit to that style. I wouldn't say when it makes you go to sleep. I would say try and do it after what you feel is every major plot point kind of thing.
Right.
So after the John Doe fight, you get a huge chunk of XP.
Yeah.
That's a good time to use that to level up. Because as you start exploring into different areas, you will start to find enemies that are 10, 20 levels higher than you.
Okay.
And will one-shot you.
Right. Yeah, but still, so far, so good. I really like exploring the hospital. I really like talking to people and getting a hint from this person, so I'm going to go talk to this other person and talk to them about the hint that they got, where it's this nurse and the ambulance driver are sleeping together, and there's all this. They
think you're going to make some beef over it because it's an interracial couple and they're different classes of people. It's
yeah, my response was very much dude, I just try to turn into a vampire. I really don't care.
Mm-hmm. My response was dude, what makes you happy?
Yeah.
The Spanish flu is hit, and all of a sudden, what you don't know is everybody is turning into vampires. So it doesn't really matter too much.
I like that. Speaking of vampires, I like that woman in the ward who thinks she's a vampire.
Oh, the best.
You call her Queen of the Night or whatever to make her happy. She's really great.
She is hamming it up as well so much.
What would you know, mortal? I'm just this is really good.
You should leave now before my desires take hold.
Yeah, it's so good. And that's one thing that I think is pushing me along in the game, is all of these different characters and all of the personalities and how they all intertwine. that stuff is really good. So even when the combat isn't great, you know, fighting the John Doe fight very quickly was like, oh, okay, you're going to make a shadow person, so I'm just going to dodge to the side, and I'm going to stake you a couple times, do a quick slurp, and then do the blood daggers. And don't write down do a quick slurp, that's not a title.
Come on!
I saw you look down. And then you can write that, I'm not going to stop you. And then, like, do the blood daggers and just kind of rinse and repeat that was sort of like, okay, like, yeah.
Did you unlock an ultimate yet?
What's up?
Did you unlock an ultimate yet?
No, not yet. I feel like the next time I go to sleep, I'll probably have enough to get there in the trees. The next thing I want to unlock, I didn't see it until after I had
spent your blood points.
Yeah, after I had leveled up last time, was I want to unlock autophage, where you chomp yourself to heal.
That is one of the most effective abilities in that game.
Because
yeah. I love the animation for it, because he literally, like, he bites his own wrist and then he just rubs his wrist on his body a little bit and it heals him.
That's great.
So good.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying it a lot so far, but I think whenever that patch comes out, if I can change difficulties while I'm playing, which I'm hoping you'll be able to, I feel like at the first sign of any sort of friction with this game, I'm going to put it on story difficulty and just kind of like enjoy the collectibles and the discussions and unlocking hints and all that stuff. That's the stuff I really love. The fighting, it just, as you said, leaves a lot to be desired.
Kind of like Alpha Protocol.
Yeah, I mean, these two games are running in parallel. We're sort of like, oh, the story's really good and the decisions really matter and the gameplay is not great, but it looks really great and the music's interesting and I love the characters, and that all of those things are true very much for both of those games.
What do you think of the apocalyptic, dark and gothic, like, violin and cello background music, by the way?
I think it's largely pretty good. I think it's a pretty strong... I feel like everything in this game, if you separate the story and the character stuff, which is largely very good, and you separate the gameplay, which is largely not great, but it's not uncontrollable. Like, you can still do what you need to do and play the game.
Yeah, specifically in that case, we're talking about the combat.
Yeah. I feel like, and some movement stuff, like, I feel like Jonathan just moves weird. Like, it's just...
He's a little floaty.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, this doesn't... You had a small budget, and I get it, and I'm looking through it with that lens, but... So, like, the music is good, and I feel like the graphics are good, but neither of them are outstanding enough to say, like, God, this game is beautiful, and the soundtrack is, you know, it's nothing like that. It's just sort of like, yeah, it's all kind of good. You know, I feel like they stretched a small budget to its limits and did really, really well with what they had.
Yeah. So have you gone into any areas other than Pembroke Hospital yet?
No, but I get the impression that starting Chapter 2, that's gonna quickly happen.
Yeah. So the basic way of progression will be is you will get sent to a different area, and every area will have its own, like, Pembroke Hospital. Not to say it will be a hospital, but
sure, it has like its central area.
Yeah, where all of the people live, and then it'll have the outskirt areas, which is like the quest destinations and the monsters and stuff.
And they all have
there.
A pillar of society.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll start getting introduced to the other areas as you explore more at this point. It's really cool.
It's one of those games that, like, I have a hard time describing, because I feel like if you took a chance and you played Alpha Protocol and you enjoyed it, take a chance and play Vampyr, because it's very much that same experience where you will find something great in it, but you sort of have to wade through a little bit of BS at every point to get to it, but it's not enough where it's like, it's not enough that I'm ejecting the disc and I'm never going to play it again. It just...
Yeah.
There's always this layer of that I'm sort of wading through. But it's one of those games that we just don't get that often, where it's a B-level game. It's a B-tier game.
It's a triple B.
Yeah, like it's a triple B game that everything comes together to be sort of charming in a broken way. And I really love it. And it's just, it will be on my top 10 list this year. I know after, there's only 6 chapters and an epilogue, so like I'm already a pretty good amount of the way through the game. But like,
I think you are, but let me tell you about the length of chapter 3.
Yeah.
It goes on.
Yeah. And I think that's another reason why I want to put on story difficulty, because if I can just sort of, not that I want to blow through the game, but
it's September and we have like a month and change to the game of the year.
Yeah, and like I want to give as many of these games as I can their due diligence. Obviously, I'm not going to finish Dragon Quest XI before Game of the Year comes out, because it's a 100-hour game without the end game stuff.
The only reason you're not going to finish that in time for Game of the Year is because you're not trying hard enough.
That's fair. I should stop sleeping.
Yes.
Just completely.
And showering and eating anything that takes away game hands. So protein drinks and soups only from now on.
I'll get some Soylent and put it in one of those beer hats and just... Yep. That'll be my meal.
Perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, Vampyr is something special in both how good it is and how weird/broken it is, and I love it.
What do you think of the voice actors? Because this is something that I think they did really, really well on voice acting wise.
I think they're largely really good.
I couldn't recognize a single voice in the game really, so I don't know if they've got any big names, but I know we mentioned Jonathan as someone who's worked a fair bit before, but even just the regular nobody goobins who you don't really care about who are walking around, they do a good job with everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like they did what Blizzard does. They take a bunch of people that are either not famous or they've done a little bit of work, but they're really, really good, and they put them in their game. And I feel like that's what Don't Nod did, is they just found really great actors and put them in their game. And I think it's fantastic. And it's not like, that guy's Steve Bloom. Steve Bloom has a British accent. It's nothing like that. It's just sort of like, they got a bunch of really great, probably stage actors, and stuck them in their game.
Yeah, here's Nathan Drake, the Vampire Hunter.
Right. And just says blimey a bunch.
Yeah.
God, that would be so bad. I started 2064 Read-Only Memories.
Read-Only.
Boy, I like this game a lot.
It's a point-and-click adventure in a retro style.
Yep.
It's like rubbing up against everything you like.
Yeah, it's like it's essentially like somewhere between a 16 and 32-bit point-and-click adventure game that's cyberpunk, and it's really good. I finished chapter 1 on that, which I looked up on how long to beat. I think this game is less than 8 hours, so I'm sort of keeping it a pretty good clip on it. I'm playing it on Switch, which I unfortunately had to turn off Rumble for the game, because every time there was an important or like, have you started playing it?
No, not yet.
Okay, so your main companion is Turing, this robot. Every time he would say something sort of exclamatory, or he'd have like blue text, like the blue Zelda text, it would rumble a little bit, which was kind of fun. But after playing for maybe about a half an hour, it sucked about 25% of my battery. So that's not gonna work.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Yeah. So far, I'm really enjoying it. The writing is really solid. It has all the fun point-and-click stuff where you click on something and it comes up with, like, look at it, touch it, use an item on it. It has that sort of LucasArts wheel that I remember. And it is really great. And the soundtrack so far is solid. I think Too Mellow did the soundtrack. So far, so good. I'm digging it, and I keep wanting to ask people stuff on Twitter, but I don't really want to spoil any story stuff, since it's really primarily just story.
Yeah, I'm hoping to jump into it, hopefully starting it this week.
Yeah.
So, fingers crossed, we can end up having DM conversations.
Yes, yeah. And last but not least, there was another Switch game that came out that was the
Oh no! Tell me you didn't go. You did, didn't you? You went and. Go on, tell us all about it. ROR.
The developers of Risk of Rain said, "Hey, you guys have been asking for Risk of Rain on Switch, and we have a release date to share with you. It's out right now." And I was like, "Oh no!" And I was like, "Okay, it'll be expensive, so I'm not gonna." Nope, it's $10. So I picked it up.
You and Hannah, and I'm pretty sure Heiko did.
Yeah.
And probably about 17 other people. Wouldn't surprise me if Soulman picked her up.
Probably. The thing that I love about Risk of Rain is it's a perfect game, like The Binding of Isaac, to just live on your device forever, and you play it, one game every once in a while, and then you go back to what you're actually playing. So I before I talked about it on the show, I wanted to make sure that I ran through, at the very least, just the first level, which I did. Still sounds great, still looks great, runs flawlessly. Obviously, I haven't gotten to the end, where you're just an unstoppable killing machine.
Yep, I'm looking forward to the frame-filling nonsense at the end of that game and seeing how the Switch handles it.
Yeah, even on PS4, it runs 60 frames, so I'm largely expecting that on Switch. The biggest thing, though, is they made some of the weirdest decisions for controls. So, in most platformers on the Switch, B is to jump, because it's where the A button is on Xbox One, is where X is on PS4. That's kind of your jump button, and then the button right next to it, to the upper left, is going to be your, your shoot button, your whatever, because you're going to do your traditional, your finger sits over both buttons and you're sort of rock between the two.
Yeah, your track and field.
Exactly. They didn't. They put jump on A, which is not where it goes. It goes.
So that's B on the Xbox.
Right, B on the Xbox and
circle on the PlayStation.
Thank you.
How did I get there quicker than you did?
Yeah, man, I don't know. So, that in and of itself is not great. And then they put the use button, which is how you purchase stuff and use your, interact with stuff in the environment. They put that on the button just to the left of it. So, they just shifted your thumb over, but that's not where it's supposed to be. And it's that's so ingrained in our brains and our muscles that it's sort of uncomfortable to have that there. So I remapped it, and at that point it's pretty much perfect at that point, because all your skills are on the 4 buttons on the top on your shoulders, and it is Risk of Rain, and it's only $10, and it's on the platform that people love to buy indie games on. So
apparently, based on how every big indie game getting re-released, this seems to be selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, it was what did Motion Twin say? I think they said Dead Cells on Switch sold 4 times the number of copies as on PS4. So it's
yeah,
doing pretty okay. Did your spider friend move?
Yeah, he's over here now.
It's coming closer.
Yeah, he's determined. He wants some of that sweet, sweet English blood.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dead Cells, really quick. Not affiliated with her at all. IGC Indie Gamer Chick on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Her number one game, I think, for the past, I think it's 600 days or something, has been Axiom Verge, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just got knocked off by Dead Cells.
Nice. Have you played any Dead Cells lately?
I played bits and pieces of it. I'm doing my usual roguelike thing of taking a little bit of a break so I can go back in hard again.
Yeah.
Also, mostly because I have a sneaking suspicion that this thing will be on my Game of the Year, and I can't just have 5 games on my Game of the Year list.
Right.
I need to have more than that.
It's sort of weird, because every time I look at Dead Cells, I sort of don't feel like playing it right now, which is really weird for a brand new, really good roguelike.
I think, to be honest, for me, the main thing is the time investment.
Yeah.
Because I if I'm going to play a round of Isaac, I'm setting myself up to be there 45 minutes to an hour, depending on what type of run I'm going to do.
Right.
Because Isaac, at this point, I know well enough to the point where I will make it to Mom, to Satan.
You make it most of the way.
Yeah. So that's 30 minutes, 45 minutes minimum for me. If I'm going to jump into Flint Hook, that's a 6-minute run. I am out the door because I'm going to die instantly.
Yep.
Risk of Rain, I'll probably be the same thing, where, 20 minutes tops to start with. The problem I've got with Dead Cells is if I'm sitting down to play Dead Cells, minimum an hour.
Yeah.
Because I'm good enough now to get us really far in, and I'm looking at least an hour to do just a single run.
And you're clearing the whole map and getting all the items, yeah.
Yeah. That's the issue I'm running into with Dead Cells, where it's 10:45, and my rule is Xbox off at the latest 11 p.m. on the button.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time for a Dead Cells run right now.
Yeah, or at least to get halfway into a really great run and be like, I need to go to bed because I have work like this, and I know when I'm going to pick it up again, I won't have this same level of skill.
Familiarity.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I know if I start a run at 10:30, 10:45, I'm going to finish that run and then do one more because I will feel like I can do better.
Yeah.
And then it's 2 a.m. and I'm like, oh great, I'm up for work in 4 hours. Maybe I should not be playing these types of game last thing at night.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up because the PS4 version got a patch this week that said it resolved some performance issues and put the pixel font in the game.
Did it fix the screen jump?
That's the thing I want to get back into, but I'm playing a lot of another game that I haven't mentioned. So I haven't really wanted, like you said, I haven't wanted to sit down and play an hour because I feel like I don't get frame skips in Dead Cells until I've been in it for half an hour and I'm getting to the clock tower and I'm getting a tougher run.
Yeah.
I very rarely get them early on.
Yeah, same.
So, yeah, I don't know. Dead Cells is good, but I don't want to play it right now, and I don't know why that is. Probably because if I'm not playing something else, I'm probably playing Vampyr.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're playing a different game that begins with D.
Yeah. All right, that's all the games I've been playing this week, so let's take a break. Let's talk. I gotta write that time. Releases for the week of September 24th, 2018. Moonlighter comes to the Switch.
Well, there you go. There's another popular indie game heading over to the Switch.
Yeah, I really wish they would have patched the trophy issues on the PS4 so I could go get the Platinum, but I don't think they ever will, and that's a real bummer. So,
yep,
because I'm not going to kill 1,000 enemies in one sitting. That's too much.
Really, that was one.
1,000 enemies of each biome. You have to do it in one sitting. It doesn't save your count between, when you close the app and open it back up. That's rough.
Yep.
A game Moonpier and I have been looking forward to for a really long time. This is The Police 2 comes to consoles, Switch, Xbox One, and PS4.
Oh, no.
I know.
Dude, I didn't think I'd have to start spending next week. I was hoping for
you have a week off.
2 more.
Yeah, I have seen very little from that game. I think primarily because not a lot of people have been playing it, which is a bummer.
Same could be said for the first one, though. The only reason that made it on our list, I believe, was because I happened to watch a quick look of it, which Vinny happened to play.
Right. That is a Vinny game, though.
Exactly.
Yeah. We should all listen to Vinny more. But yeah, this comes out. I'm going to scoop that up real quick and check that out. Valkyria Chronicles 4 comes out on PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. You sort of already know what that is, so...
I don't. I'm fine with not knowing. I don't need to buy another game. Move on to the next release, please, Mr. Boss.
I think you would really like that series because it's a little bit It's a little bit more actiony of an XCOM game, but it still keeps the strategy roots.
Oh, great.
It's pretty cool. Life is Strange 2 Episode 1 comes out on PC, PS4, Xbox One. Stop the bleeding. I can't take it. I don't have a job. I don't have a paying job, to be specific.
Well, kind of, you do, but all of the money that we make from here goes into funding this thing.
That's true. Yeah, it's a self-feeding beast.
Patreon.com/E1M1.
Yes. So yeah, I guess I'll also start that game this week. Next up, Hollow Knight comes out on PS4 and Xbox One.
Yay! Let the madness continue.
Yeah.
Madden is officially out. Madden has been out for a couple of weeks now. I guess the year of game has begun.
Yeah. I cannot wait for I can't wait to play Hollow Knight again, a game I just finished mere weeks ago. Man. Dragon Ball
comes out in 2 weeks, Boston.
I know. Dragon Ball FighterZ comes out on the Switch. I don't know anything about how that looks or performs on that platform, so might wanna hold off on that until some impressions are out.
Yeah, don't do what. I feel bad for it. I got angry text messages from T-Bone Rocks from the community this week.
I got an angry DM on Discord.
In regards to Dark Souls on the Switch, by any chance?
Yeah.
Yep.
That it runs really great and looks like it has a layer of butter on top of it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a bummer. But at least the network trial was free.
Yeah, it's the 80s adult movie filter.
Yeah. And last but not least, Jake Hunter Detective Story Ghost of the Dusk comes out on 3DS.
3DS, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, man, there's your one game. There you go.
Right. Got one for you. All right, let's start the show with a showstopper. This week's worst news in probably about 15 different ways. Telltale Games has confirmed their huge layoffs and studio closure.
Yep. So, let's
talk about all the ways this is terrible.
Yeah, let's get the blaming out the way first, shall we? AKA, it kind of serves them right.
Yeah,
not the individuals.
No.
Like, for the record, the employees, they are going through some rough times. I'm talking about the higher-ups. It serves them right, because from all of the horror stories we've been hearing out of Telltale's for, at least 2, maybe 3 years now?
Well, I feel like it's hard because... So let's get some facts out of the way here first, because the real dirty stuff of it is none of the employees get a severance package.
Yep.
That sucks, and that's unacceptable in 2018, especially because there were a bunch of people that got hired on last week and moved across the country. That is the worst. Telltale hasn't made an official statement, but it looks like everything except for one title is completely canceled. That includes The Walking Dead, the final season. Looks like we'll probably get 2 episodes of that, and that'll be it. 25.
Which we have already bought the full version for.
Yikes. There are 25 employees left at Telltale. It appears to finish the Walking Dead game for Netflix. Which is a thing I had totally forgotten about. I feel like, going back to what you were talking about, I feel like they were, when you're running down a hill too fast and you're sort of pinwheeling your arms and you're pretty sure you won't be able to stop and you're going to fall on your face.
Yeah.
I feel like that's been Telltale's fate. Unfortunately, as soon as the first season of The Walking Dead, the game was a success, because they went from, I think they were 50 employees or so.
Yeah, known and doing okay.
Yeah, next thing you know, they're
everything within their reach.
400 employees. They're scooping up license after license and not really getting a lot of stuff out, and people pretty quickly got sick of the engine, and I feel like we can't discount the just blatant jankiness of that engine. For a lot of people seeing... The first question for most people when the new Telltale game gets announced, they'd go, does it have a new engine? When the answer is no, they'd say, I'm not going to pick it up.
Yep. And we even discussed it, like, what was it, a month ago, when they said they're halting all projects going on and working on the engine.
Yep.
I believe our immediate response was, shame that wasn't 2-3 years ago.
Yep. And the... Like you're saying, the horror stories that are coming out of ex-Telltale employees now about the depths of mismanagement in this company are staggering. People working crunch, 60, 80 hours weeks for years and years to get this stuff out.
And then literally told, you're done, you've got 30 minutes, come back tomorrow to get your stuff.
Yep. That's just... It's such a bummer, and I'm happy on one level because the amount of doing wrong by employees that Telltale has done has finally woken up a lot of people to how terrible the video game industry is on its rank and file employees.
Yep.
Because there have been a lot of people saying, like, well, that's unacceptable because more games aren't going to come out. And it's like, that's the least of the concerns. It's that people don't have the safety net of a severance package so that they can go find another job and feed their family.
At the end of the day, we paid for the full season of Walking Dead, the final season, and I would have loved to have seen that come to a close. I would love to see the end of that story as they wanted it to.
Yep.
But what's more important, our loss of let's do the math here, let's say, I don't know, like
$15, $20,
$32 or whatever it is for the episodes that we're not going to get, or the fact that someone uprooted their life, their family, they moved to a different part of the country, and they get laid off with no warning, no notice, and no information that it was coming beforehand, or that these people who work ridiculously long hour weeks, which I can totally relate to.
Oh, yeah.
Then don't get any leave, don't get any notice, don't get any severance, don't get any safety net at all for them. This is the problem with the... I'm going to phrase this, and it's probably phrased poorly. The cash grab mentality they have had since Walking Dead Season 1.
Yep. I think that's the best way to put it.
Because they assumed that this license would work, so everything else would work, and Tales from the Borderlands is probably one of the greatest games on this generation.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody expected that one to work, and my wife and I actually went through all the games in release order, and while we are Telltale fans, specifically Walking Dead generation Telltale fans, like neither of us like Sam and Max, neither of us like Back to the Future.
Yeah, some of their offshoot early stuff.
Yeah, we like this version of Telltale games. We like their games. But whether we like them or not, they have been getting progressively worse.
Yep.
Both sales and reviews-wise. They've been going further and further downhill. And yet they still didn't make any changes. They were still just announcing everything.
Yep.
And someone in our Discord, or I think it was either our Discord or No Quarters Discord, quite rightly pointed out, they went and licensed with Disney for Guardians.
Yep.
I don't see that being cheap, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the first nail.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if, like they're running down the hill too fast. It just, at some point, it's just uncontrollable. And I think you're seeing some people probably non-litigiously allege that the old CEO, the one that's suing, I guess, maybe still suing Telltale, I'm not sure, for gross mismanagement. Sounds like a lot of stuff just came straight out of that dude. And it sounds like they didn't oust him early enough and just couldn't recover.
I mean, it's the same old story. Like, we'll wrap back around to this in questions because I don't want to go into too much. Like, because we have a genuinely good, heartfelt question about this in the in our Discord thing, but like on the news in general, the one best thing about this kind of thing happening to me is always the rallying cry from other people.
Yeah.
And one of my favourite things, and yes, I'm biased towards them. Yes, I think they're a fantastic publisher and developer, but the fact that it looks like Ubisoft basically hired a restaurant for the afternoon and said, yo, come and get dinner and speak with us. It's our treat.
Yeah.
Like,
super
stuff
cool.
like that is always so good to see in this kind of situation. It's the same with like magazine layoffs, especially video game magazine layoffs.
Yeah.
When they close down a magazine, you immediately see like publishers and things come out of the, like, other websites come out of the woodwork and say, this is what we're looking for, come and speak to us.
Yeah, the only thing that I thought coming out of this is this would be a perfect purchase for Microsoft.
Yeah.
You invest in the studio, you invest in the licenses, which Microsoft will have the money and the clout to potentially get those set back up. You invest however much money and time it takes to get that engine to where it needs, and start staffing the company back up and start putting out some of these games again. And I feel like if you could keep that ball rolling and keep that studio in place, they could continue to put out really great stuff.
Yeah, my first instinct, I mean, I think Microsoft is probably the better shout for this.
Yeah.
Like you said, they have the clout for those licenses.
And they need more big wins like that.
Yeah, and I think it again, it's the hearts and minds fight, and that is a good hearts and minds fight move.
Yep.
Is let's scoop up Telltale. We're Microsoft, we've got the clout to turn around and say to Disney, yo, we're making Guardians 2.
Right.
We've got the clout to say to Warner Brothers, me and you, let's make a little money with Wolf 2, which is,
right.
I wanted the end of Walking Dead season, whatever season it is, the final chapter. I wanted Wolf 2 more than anything else. My first instinct was THQ Nordic.
Yeah, I also like that one because they are scooping up just a bunch of really weird stuff.
I mean, they picked up Darksiders. They picked up a whole bunch of THQ stuff when THQ went down. It's going to be THQ soon. It's not even going to be Nordic anymore.
They're just going to
be THQ
chop that
again.
right off. Yeah.
But they also, didn't they recently get the Saints Row stuff?
I believe so, yeah.
And they also got Red Faction, I believe.
They did.
So
all of the greatest hits of the last gen that just sort of need the next step.
Homes. Yeah.
So as we always say, and I mean especially because they were done wrong in this one, I really hope that everybody lands back on their feet. It's been really great to see publishers large and small and developers large and small come together and say, use this hashtag, we are looking for people, you know, we're gonna hire you guys. So
yeah,
fingers crossed.
I always love it when that type of stuff happens. Like the same thing with this stupid there you go, THQ Nordic, the Kingdoms of Amalur.
There's another one. Yeah.
There's another one that THQ just snapped up. The same thing happened when that studio went under, and it's just, especially considering that was an area that didn't have video game development. Right. And then everybody locally was just like, okay, here are the ones closest that we can help you with.
Right. Next news story here. The Assassin's Creed. Wrong series. The Ace Attorney series, very similar, is about to make its debut on Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Please go play these if you've been interested in them. They're these first 3 games are all so good.
I have only ever played the first one.
If you liked the first one, I feel like the other ones are even better.
That's what I heard, but by the time I got around to playing 2 or looking into 2 and 3, my DS was on its way out.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had to make the decision to pick up another DS, pick up a 3DS, or not pick up anything.
Well, to make you feel better, this one isn't coming out until next year, so...
Oh, thank goodness.
Got a little bit of time. The only thing I hope is they price this right.
I think 3 games, $10 a game, $30.
Yeah, I feel like if they go for $40, that'll be a really hard sell for some people, because I feel like the games are just old enough. 30 is
2007.
Oh wow, yeah, okay. So a decade old. I feel like 30 is probably a no-brainer, and I feel like 25-20 is a slam dunk. Like, that's just people are just picking it up for no reason. Like if this guy.
if you put that thing out for $15, $20, $25,
yeah,
I'll have it installed eventually when I get the space for it.
Yeah, exactly. Next news story, another bummer one. Sony has announced that the PS Vita manufacture and shipping ends in 2019.
So do I need to get a Vita?
Man, I don't know. I feel like this is another one of those stories where it's sort of like, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like, eventually
Microsoft...
Microsoft's...
the last time they talked about the Vita on an E3 press conference? Was it 3 years ago?
3 years ago, probably anything out of a sizzle reel, yeah. 2 years ago, probably had a sizzle reel, but that was like a 1 minute, like, here's the Vita. Here you go. Good luck. But it's sort of... I'm surprised the Vita has, hung on for so long.
Come on, it did the exact same thing that the PSP did. It did the exact same thing that the Zune did, which is they have their fans, their die-hard fans, who quite rightly point out all of the positives for that platform.
Right.
But it doesn't get picked up by the mainstream, and as much hearts and minds fighting as you want to do, only so many people are going to go out and buy a Vita or a PSP or a Zune based on recommendations.
Well, and the Vita was actually still going really strong both in Japan and North America for visual novels. There are a ton of them. We just don't cover them. But there's a ton of them, usually 1 or 2 coming out a month. That's just for the Vita, and it's a Japanese visual novel. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I can't help but think that the developers behind the visual novels, the issues they're going to run into now is the Vita screen is incredible.
Yeah.
It's a perfect place for that kind of thing. Are those things going to sell as well on the Switch?
They already are.
Okay, then in that case I don't feel too bad, because if they're already on the Switch and selling well, then that's fine. They've found their new home that's not the colossal pile of hay that's the same size as this planet that is Steam is.
Well, and don't forget, visual novels can't really come out on Steam anymore. So, whoops.
Everything else can. Visual novels can't.
Yeah, except for a book. I'd also like to remind everyone the one single thing that killed the Vita and prevented it from ever becoming a runaway success: the memory cards.
Yep. Same thing that killed the PSP.
Yep.
The UMD.
Yep. The thing that the Switch did it right by allowing you to just put a standard SD card. You see those things on sale everywhere all the time. That will make the Switch succeed. PS Vita memory cards still are the same price as when the Vita launched.
Yep. Shocker, because they don't make enough of them to reduce the cost.
Yep.
It's literally that simple. The manufacturing pipeline does not get...
SanDisk doesn't make Vita cards, so like...
Exactly. Which, can we just talk about the irony, by the way, of the PSP's memory name? The UMD.
Yeah.
The Universal Media Disc.
Yeah.
That it only works on one platform.
What a weird format. So, also, thankfully, Sony has not announced a successor. Please don't. It's not going to happen.
Enough.
I'd love it to happen. You have the Switch out there, you're not going to beat the Switch.
Dude, PlayStation 5 announcement. It's the Vita 2. It's a PlayStation 4 in your hands.
I mean, if they want to go that route, I feel like that is something they could probably sell. The power of the PS4 remote, like that's an easier sell, and you could stick it to Nintendo and say like, well, our console runs all games 1080p mobile, that sort of thing. But
yeah,
I feel like Sony and Microsoft are digging in to the 4K trench as opposed to games running everywhere trench.
I don't even feel like Sony are digging into that trench.
I feel like they're saying it, and the Pro just can't always get there.
I feel bad saying this. It feels like I don't know if this will be considered a curse word, so you might want to get your pen ready for a time drop down here. I feel like Sony has half-arsed it the same way they have with everything else. They want to be 4K, but not quite just
they wanted to get the hardware out first instead of get it powerful.
They want to be portable, but they want to do VR.
It's just all a little bit short.
Yep. Whereas I will give Spency all the credit in the world here. He took over Microsoft and he said, no, this is going to be the most powerful console available. Never mind your phones. Never mind your PCs.
Yeah, we're gonna make a box, and that box plugs into your TV.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sony, next news story: PlayStation Now is making portions of its games downloadable, and by portions I mean PS2 and PS4 games, not PS3 for some reason. This is, I feel like this is the step they needed to make towards Game Pass. The next step is it's got to be way cheaper, bro.
Yep.
Just full on. It's nearly triple the price of Game Pass. That has to come way down, especially since the thing is, if you want to beat Game Pass, you have to have the title parity to it. I feel like when you look at Game Pass, I have Game Pass because Forza Horizon 4 is going to be on there.
Yep.
I would have PlayStation Now if Spider-Man was on there and I could download Spider-Man. I would do that in a
any of the
heartbeat.
exclusives they have.
Right.
Uncharted, Last of Us 2.
Horizon Zero Dawn is significantly old enough to show up on a service like this. But you have them pushing Bloodborne, Until Dawn, God of War 3 Remastered, and it's like, those are good games. But they're also games that are a couple of years old. And the service is too expensive.
How much is the service?
I think it's still... it's $20 a month.
Okay, so for $20 a month, you could probably go to any game store and pick up physical copies of those 3 games for that amount.
Yep. It's just like...
This is a discussion I had on Twitter today. Someone was torn between Red Dead Redemption 2 and Forza Horizon 4. My response was, pick up Red Dead, and if you can if you can swing $10, get Game Pass for a month, and then see if you want to drop the $60, or just keep Game Pass going. Because even if you drop the same amount of money on Game Pass for Forza Horizon 4, if you know what you're going in for, you know you're interested in the game, and you don't want the huge, stupid collector's edition.
Right.
Hi, Mackie. How are you doing? If you know you're going to spend $60 on that game, get 6 months of Game Pass. You will get that value out of that game and everything else. It's what I did with Sea of Thieves.
Right.
And that's why I still have Game Pass to this day.
And you have 125 other games.
The value is so high right now for Game Pass. It's unbelievable. I honestly cannot understand how they are getting away with it. And yes, I understand that games go in and out of the cycle, so on and so forth.
That's always going to happen.
Fine. Yeah, when Vermintide 2 gets bumped out of Game Pass, guess who's going to buy it? Right. Me, because it's on Game Pass right now.
I think that's the thing that Sony... They have to make a huge play to beat Microsoft in this specific instance, because you look at Game Pass and you look at all the games available and you look at the price and you're like, that's not right. It's almost like you think the like your intro plan for your internet plan here in the US, where it's like, that's a really great price, and it's like, yeah, but after a year it like triples in price. And it's for Game Pass, it's like, no man, you still get these great games for virtually nothing, as much as you're paying for Netflix, but you get games. Yep. That's too good of a deal, but it's real.
That's 2 regular coffees or 1 fancy coffee from Starbucks.
Right.
Equals Game Pass for a month.
Yeah. So I don't know. Microsoft, keep doing it, doing great with Game Pass. Sony, step it up. You're moving in the right direction. Move faster and cheaper.
Honestly, I think if that, I realize it's going to probably sound kind of stupid, but they're offering the streaming service. I'm correct.
Yes.
their answer to backwards compatibility is this streaming service. Their answer to Game Pass is the same service.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, the only way you're beating Game Pass is by allowing that stuff to be installed and running off the thing and making it cheaper.
Right. Yeah, because with them doing the downloadable games, that's a great first step, but still having it at $20 a month for a catalog that's not that big and not that recent, that's the other half of the equation that they're missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Final Fantasy VIII. I don't want to go and play it today.
Right. Well, like,
I want it remastered and re-released today. Final Fantasy Collection game.
Well, and like for Bloodborne specifically, sure, I could get PlayStation PS Now and download Bloodborne, or I could just go get a disc of it for probably $10, which is half the price of. It's the math doesn't work out. The math works out with Game Pass because I'm gonna be able to play Forza Horizon 4 for $10, and that's a steal.
And that's a brand new game that's literally come out in like 2 weeks.
The only thing I was a little bummed out by that I found this week, which is completely understandable, is you can't preload Game Pass games.
Yep.
So
it's one downside to the service for me.
And it's one of those things.
For me.
Yeah.
My wife finishes right before I do, so she can download Horizon 4 for me, or I can start it at 12:01 the morning it releases and have it be ready for me the next morning.
Yeah, use the app to download it. It's one of those things where I found that out because I had saw that Big Mackey over at News Corps. News Corps. Boy, I'm already getting tired. Had preloaded it because he bought it, and I was like, ooh, I should go preload the Game Pass. And you can't do that. And I was like, okay. I understand why you don't want me to do that, and it's $10, so I don't really care that much.
By the way, Bloodborne, brand new, $15.
Yeah. I think you know what to do, listeners. Go play Bloodborne. A game that a platform that Bloodborne definitely will not be on is the newly announced Sony PlayStation Classic, which is a platform I'm super pissed off about. But let's get the details out of the way.
Is that a curse word?
No.
Okay.
It will be launching on December 3rd this year for $100 and will come with 20 classic titles. So far they've announced Final Fantasy VII, of course, Ridge Racer Type 4, which is awesome, Wild Arms, and Tekken 3, and it will come with 2 replica controllers. Why I'm really pissed off about this...
Shall we talk about the price?
At $100. That's fine. They're all going to be $100. That's
okay.
I feel like that's too much by about double.
Yep.
But that's
how I feel.
That's what the market is okay with because of the NES Classic. So,
I think Sony are going to learn real quick that they ain't Nintendo.
Yeah. I feel like there will be. I feel like there's the rest of the announcements for the platform are probably going to be pretty important, and I know a bunch of people will probably buy it just to have it. I love the PS1, and it's so tiny and it's cute, and, it comes with all these games. The part that I'm really pissed off about is, and this extends to Sega, Nintendo, and now Sony, I really hate that these are happening and not proper backwards compatible virtual console style platforms. Those aren't happening on other consoles because of these products.
Yep. Well, Sega did just release their collection, and Sega have done a pretty good job of doing those collections, like the Streets of Rage collection, the Wonder Boy collection.
As long as they run well.
Yes. The thing that bothers me is they have games that are... All of these companies have games that are broken that they are not updating to fix issues with.
Yep.
They're instead doing this. I get it, probably a different division, whatever, that's fine. But at the same time, Nintendo are the biggest guilty party here because you have an online store. You have the capability to put these games and the licenses to put these games on your existing platform, but you won't.
And I know they just came out with 30 games, 30 NES games with the online pass. That's not good enough because for your online pass, it should be like Netflix of old, where it's every NES game that they could potentially get their hands on are just in this giant list in the Virtual Console app on the Switch. Sony should be doing the same thing. If they want to stick it in PS Now, that's fine. They can say, the majority of PlayStation 1 games are now available on PS Now. Great. Yep. That $20 a month goes a lot further than it did before. But instead, this was like my breaking point for Virtual Console. Like, either you need to do it or just stop revisiting these old games completely. But $100 for basically a Raspberry Pi and a PlayStation shell they're gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and I can't remember who posted on our Discord, but comparing that and the PS TV, which was a very tiny little PlayStation as well. Yep. It looked even cuter, and that thing also has like screen and remote play with like the Vita and the PlayStation 4 and everything else. It's like, okay, you've done this before, dudes. You just didn't market it as the PlayStation Mini. The problem with the PlayStation TV, though, it's a mini Vita that you hook to your TV, but no one wants a Vita. So like they chose the wrong platform. So I don't know. I'm grumbly about it. But in the last news story here, Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood receive ratings for the PS4, potentially called Castlevania Requiem, collecting two of the better modern Metroidvanias. So my first instinct when I read this news story was, oh hey, what do you think the odds are that these happen to get released the same week Bloodstained does?
Oh man, that would be so good!
Because it's a very Konami move, and it's a very Konami move.
Yep. Konami could even market it as play the best originals, Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood.
And they would do it just to stiff it to that poor guy with his cape and his wig.
Honestly, if I was in Konami's place, I'd probably do it too.
From a business sense, yes, do it. Release them that literally get the release date for Bloodstained and drop them that week.
Yep. You just have them ready to push the button whenever Bloodstained releases. Yeah. My only hope is I hope it comes out on everything. It'd be nice to see Symphony of the Night have a PC release for once. It would be nice to have both of these games on Xbox One. It'd be really nice to have Symphony of the Night on Switch because, like Binding of Isaac, like Risk of Rain, be one of those great games to just have on your Switch, play once a year, that sort of thing. So, those jerks. Putting it out again.
Yep. Hey, look on the bright side. At least you now have another way to play it in the future for your annual playthrough of Symphony.
It's true. Excited.
Have you played it so far this year?
I was just wondering that. I think I did, but I didn't do a full 207% run. I think I just did I'm going to screw around with it for an hour, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I should get into that. Maybe on the Switch. Let's move on to questions. Damien M. sent us an email titled Spider-Man of War, Become the Horizon. And Damien asks, can we safely say now that Microsoft has lost this console generation?
No.
I feel like... I guess the short answer is no. But also I feel like this generation is starting to feel like it's going to be pretty long too, because we got the second iteration of both consoles. I feel like Microsoft has a lot of ground to cover with exclusives and single player games and stuff like that, but like we were talking about with Game Pass, that's a huge benefit in their side of the court.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think you can say that anybody's won a generation until the generation is done. I don't
know that last gen though.
Nope.
Sony came back at the end, but Microsoft stomped them the whole time.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. Is Microsoft was so far ahead that Sony was like a marathon runner's distance away. But at the end of that generation, Sony came back with The Last of Us, the Uncharted games,
right?
All of these really big hits, and at the end, you look at the numbers for the PS3 and the 360, and they weren't that far away. And I would say the only reason why the 360 won that generation is because look at what both consoles brought forward into the next generation.
Yeah.
The PS4 was essentially a 360, but more powerful.
Yep.
That should tell you who won the generation before, but at the same time, I'm a 360 boy. I'm a 360 guy. I wasn't on the PlayStation platform for that generation, but I can't tell you that Microsoft definitively won it. I can say they probably edged it out by the end.
Yeah.
But Sony came back with a big, headstrong attitude in the end of it, and that seems to be the way Microsoft is going with this.
I still constrain that Microsoft won for so long because of Gears 1. The very first Gears game. That was...
It was a game changer.
It was like
literally
Grand Theft Auto 3 when it came out, where it's like, oh, okay, I have to get this game, and I have to get this platform because it's the only one that's on there, and I have to play it with my friends. Cool, I'm going to be doing all of that.
Yep.
And Sony just didn't have that.
No. So I don't think Sony had it early enough.
No, and Sony, like...
They had it, but it was at the end.
Sony had the... I hate The Last of Us, and I know people love it. They crapped that out at the end of the generation, and that sold really well for them. But, like, and the Uncharted games are... They're fine. They're not... I'll still say gameplay-wise, they're not really that great. But they had enough games that were good enough for long enough that... And the God of War games were not really great on PS3, but if you're like me and you love JRPGs, they didn't come out there either.
Sony's always had your back for that kind of stuff.
Sony had the advantage of uncompressed FMVs on the PS3, and that was really about it. So
yep.
Poor PS3. That could have been such a great console had Sony not just made it wrong.
Yep.
And then just been a jerk about it. But we've talked about Sony being a jerk for a long time. Next email is from Martin S. Entitled Gamer Tags. Says, hey, love the show. Thank you. You've probably been asked this before, but how did you both come up with your gamer tags? I feel like we haven't been asked that in a couple of years.
Not in a long time. I don't think I've ever been asked.
Probably not, so I'll start with you.
Mine's a dumb story.
Okay.
Mine's a dumb story that is an insult from me in high school. I went to a high school of less than exceptional students. It was basically the high school that all the other kids who get expelled get sent to that high school.
Oh, okay.
That's the type of school I went to, and their solution when I knew every answer in class, when I was always doing my homework and getting everything right, their answer to that was to call me Dr. Moonhead.
Okay.
Because my head was so big, it was as big as the moon because I knew everything all the time. And through a very long series of events involving variations of that name, that turned into... It used to be Moonie, M-O-O-N-I-E.
Mm-hmm.
And then a girlfriend at the time and very good friend of mine, we were talking backwards and forth, and she accidentally typoed it M-O-O-N-P-I-R. And it became this whole huge joke about the first Russian in space. Yes, I do know who it is. You don't need to correct me on that.
Right.
How it sounded like a Russian name, and this backwards and forth. And this joke just went on for like 6 months. And then I took an extended vacation from the internet. This was back before you needed the internet.
When you could just leave.
Yes. And then when I came back, all of my accounts and usernames and everything like that, I had somehow managed to forget the password for every single one of them. And this was the time when you lost a password, that account was gone.
You couldn't recover it. Like, it was completely gone.
Yep. So I ended up thinking, well, what new name can I use? And this name stuck with me, like, for this a 6-month, year-long joke stuck with me. And then from that point on, I became Vampyr.
Right.
And The reason why I stuck with me for so long is because, generally speaking, when I sign up for a site, it's never taken.
Well, right.
If I jump up on, if I went to Twitter, it wasn't taken. Yahoo, not taken. Gmail, not taken.
MySpace.
MySpace, not taken. Everywhere I've ever gone, my Skype is Moonpier.
Right.
Because it's not taken.
Right.
Chances are, if you look for that name, it's probably me in one form or another.
Right.
So
mine is sort of a weird story.
Are we doing Johnston or Boston?
Johnston. So, okay. Well, that's a good question. Boston, we were going around senior year of high school, and we were giving each other dumb, nonsensical nicknames, and mine was Boston because it just didn't mean anything. And when I got to college, there were 5 or 6 other Michaels on my floor alone. I was like, well, I'm gonna give myself this dumb nickname. It's kind of stupid, and it stuck because it's stupid. Jansen is actually semi-interesting. I started playing World of Warcraft in the invite-only pre-alpha, so like when it was super broken. And I was using the name generator and just like hitting name after name, and up came Jansen without the T. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. And I took it, and it said, oh, well, that one's already in use. And I was like, well, Janston seems kind of fun, and that wasn't in use. So I like that, and I've just been using it ever since. It's sort of a problem, though, because there is an electronic artist who goes by the name of Jant-Sin. It's the T and the S are reversed, and I get a lot of his fans on Twitter. He's very nice, but everyone's saying like, "Hey, I just saw your Red Rock. Your set was awesome." It's just like not me. That would be a really great life, but that is not me.
He should change his name to Jant Synth.
There you go.
That would be so great.
I think it's his last name though.
But dude, get it legally changed. Jant Synth is so cool for an electronic artist.
Kostermal says Jansen or Jansen with 2 S's is the most common family name in Belgium. Look at that. We learned something new today. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a couple of other questions here, but I just heard my kids screaming downstairs, and my wife just sent me a text, so we're going to have to cut this episode short. And by short, I mean 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yep.
If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. Almost did that in a full single breath. Game Club Game 2064 Read-Only Memories. Don't forget to follow us on all sorts of places we live stream. We'll see you all next week.
Right, like, subscribe.
All that stuff.
5-star reviews, please, etc., etc.
Click the bell to get notifications.
I couldn't sound like I want to kill myself more than when I try and pimp something.
I know. It's.
Hey guys, please.
It took me so long to figure out that promoting yourself is not bad because you're the only one that's going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a bunch of titles, but I already have one picked out that I really like, so why don't you hit me with yours?
Okay. Interesting, if not slightly racist. Guessing that's a veto.
No, that's my number one pick for this week.
Yeah. Over-leveling my collectibles. Its birth name, because I thought that was amazing.
Birth.
Get my Spidey on. Spider Cop is great. Oh my god, my kid can't listen to this. My choice, and I know you vetoed it already, is Do a Quick Slurp, because it's so good.
Do a Quick Slurp.
80s adult movie filter.
Oh boy, yeah.
You know what to do, listeners. Suggestions in chat.
Mom, Satan, whatever.
A couple of some stuff. Dr. Moonhead. And my personal choice is Jant Synth.
Oh man.
But I gotta say no. Do a Quick Slurp is my choice.
So I have Space Constraints, The Return of the NeoGeo, interesting if not slightly racist. The other one I really like, which is Opposite Moonpier. I like just this like Manchester Vampyr that's just like living this double life that's completely opposite to who you are. Over-leveling my collectibles, its birth name, do a quick slurp. And mom's...
You're laughing every time you say it. So you know dumb. It's got to be it. It takes the title just for the fact that neither of us can say it without laughing.
Yeah, I've got to circle it then. Do a quick slurp is our winner. Because it's just so dumb.
See, you said it again and you laughed.
Do a quick slurp. Hashtag phrasing. Alright, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 570 for September 24th, 2018. Do a quick slurp.
Get your straws out.
I almost laughed while I was saying it again. So dumb.
Yep.
Alright, thanks so much everyone for watching live. We'll see you next week. Bye. And we're done recording. I gotta go. Bye.